As the world continues to come together to fight COVID-19, it's a reminder that we are all living on this planet together, and it still needs your help to thrive. That's why each year on April 22nd, more than 1 billion people, including you, celebrate Earth Day.
Say it proud, we're green and loud! Say it proud, we're green and loud!
Welcome to Nick News, Kids and the Impact of Climate Change. We've got host Jamie Yuccas of CBS News breaking down the facts from why climate change has become a global emergency and the impact it has on our planet to what you can do to help. She'll also talk to real kids about the actions they are taking to save and restore our Earth. And we've got the answers to our kids' climate quiz with a little help from Lily Collins, Skai Jackson, Liza Koshy, Rob Gronkowski, and many more. It all starts right now.
For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough?
Even though we're seeing the effects of climate change almost every day, there are still tons of people in this country who are like, I don't know if it's real. And even if it is, I'm not really afraid of it.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
It'll start getting cooler.
I wish science agreed with you.
We're fighting against these dirty politicians, these corporations that want to desecrate our sacred land.
So the time has now come for us to take matters into our own hands.
With every bout with nature's fury caused by our own inaction on climate change, more Americans see and feel the devastation. As president, I immediately rejoined the Paris Agreement.
Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up. And change is coming, whether you like it or not.
Hi, I'm Jamie Yuccas, and you're watching Nick News, Kids and the Impact of Climate Change. Now, you may be wondering, what? Huh? Climate change? What's that? Let me explain. Okay, so I know you love watching videos and playing games on your phone, right? But charging your phone and things like driving in a car with your parents to school or keeping warm in the winter rely on energy sources like gas, oil, and coal. These gases come from many places, from our cars, our homes, but especially from big companies that make the things we use every day. Clothes, toys, and even some of the foods we eat. When we use them, those energy sources release an invisible gas into the air called carbon dioxide, or CO2 for short. CO2 molecules in the Earth's atmosphere act like a blanket and keep heat from escaping to space, causing our planet's temperature to rise and get hotter. That's called global warming, which then leads to climate change. If it all seems a bit confusing, don't worry. We'll break it all down and give you a chance to ask how and why climate change is putting basic things we all want and need at risk, like clean water, clean air, and a clean playground. You'll find out the difference between the weather versus climate, what your carbon footprint is, and the often complicated yet very important way you can work towards living on zero waste. Don't worry, I'll explain all of that along the way. Plus, we've got the results of our climate quiz, like what item takes the longest to break down in a landfill. But first...
But what is Earth Day anyway?
So Earth Day has been around for more than 50 years, since April 22nd, 1970. And every year since then, we celebrate our environment and raise awareness about how we can protect our planet.
We planted a tree for Earth Day.
Planting a tree, picking up garbage on the street, or turning off the lights in your house are excellent ways to help protect our Earth. But they're not the only ways. So let's dive into some of those creative and important ways. This year, over 1 billion people from all over the world are expected to take part in Earth Day celebrations. But Earth Day didn't start out that way. Let's take a look back at why April 22nd remains an important reminder to conserve and protect our planet.
Earth Day. Earth Day. Earth Day.
Earth Day.
Earth Day.
It's Earth Day. The first Earth Day was created in 1970 by then-Senator Gaylord Nelson of Wisconsin after he saw the devastation caused by a massive oil spill in California. He was inspired to organize a teach-in. That's just a fancy phrase for an event that tries to educate and get people involved around changing something. And the first Earth Day focused on educating the public about the environment, and it worked. 20 million people across the U.S. held protests, rallies, and gathered together to find ways to defend the planet against air pollution, contaminated water, and littered streets, and to demand more from companies that are producing waste and harming our planet. CBS News anchor Walter Cronkite even hosted the first ever Earth Day special.
A unique day in American history is ending, a day set aside for a nationwide outpouring of mankind seeking its own survival. Earth Day.
At the time, then-President Richard Nixon heard these rally cries and established the Environmental Protection Agency, and it's still around today. The EPA monitors the condition of the environment, enforces guidelines for air and water quality, and creates programs that are aimed to reduce pollution. There were so many policies passed in the 10 years after the first Earth Day, it became known as the Environmental Decade. Earth Day continued to grow over the years and hit historic milestones along the way. In 1990, Earth Day went global. 200 million people in 141 countries participated that year. Earth Day 2000 included 5,000 environmental groups in 184 countries. In 2010, for the 40th anniversary of Earth Day, 225,000 people came together at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. for a climate rally, and the Earth Day Network launched a campaign to plant 1 billion trees. 1 year later, in 2011, the Earth Day Network planted 28 million trees in Afghanistan as part of their Plant Trees, Not Bombs campaign. And in 2012, 100,000 people rode bikes in China to reduce fuel and CO2 emissions from cars. But one of the biggest advancements on climate change came on Earth Day in 2016, when 175 countries signed the historic Paris Climate Agreement.
Yes, we have achieved the Paris Agreement. More countries have come together here to sign this agreement today than for any other cause in the history of humankind.
Later that year, when a new administration entered the White House, the United States announced plans to pull out of the Paris Climate Agreement. A move that shocked the world, but did not stop the fight. In fact, it was in 2018 when a new generation of young people began to fight to have their voices heard about the environment. Leading the charge was then 15-year-old Greta Thunberg of Sweden. Greta started spending her school days outside the Swedish parliament, calling for stronger action on climate change. Greta believed Earth Day didn't have to be observed just one day a year, but can be practiced every day. Her protest became known as Fridays for Future, and in 1 year, over 2,000 climate strikes were organized in 125 countries. Greta didn't stop there. In 2019, there were multi-city climate protests that involved over 1 million students each. And to avoid flying and using fossil fuel energy, Greta sailed to the U.S., where she spoke at the UN Climate Action Summit.
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet, you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Last year in 2020, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day fell in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. And even though the virus caused a public health stay-at-home lockdown around the world, the planet's largest civic event went on. And leading the charge was the voice of young people. Your voice demanding the United States return to the Paris Climate Agreement.
And as of today, the United States is officially, once again, a party to the Paris Agreement, which we helped put together.
Over 50 years later, an Earth Day is a constant reminder that the planet still turns. The environment and global climate still need your attention. And your fight, all of our fight, still needs to continue. Coming up, we'll hear from you about what matters most this Earth Day. But first, here's a little more info on the environment. and a message from some familiar faces.
What are greenhouse gases?
Greenhouse gases act like a blanket. The gases surround the Earth and keep the planet from getting too warm or too cold. As long as the amount of gases in the atmosphere are in balance, we are protected from the sun's heat and the coldness of space.
Happy Earth Day, everyone! I'm Coyote Peterson, and as many of you know, I have a pretty wild job that I would not be able to do without this wonderful planet that we call home. Now, to celebrate, I'm encouraging you to do something special for the planet today. It could be as small as picking up trash, or as big as donating to your favorite conservation effort. Every action counts. And trust me, the wild animals that share this wonderful place will definitely appreciate it. Be brave, stay wild, and happy Earth Day.
Hey guys, it's Skai Jackson here. So I just want to quickly encourage you guys to learn more about global warming and see what you can do to help. Our planet is the life of all, and of course we want it to thrive and live and be special as it should be. But it is being destroyed, sadly. Animals are suffering, the planet is suffering, plants are suffering, just everything above. So anything you can do to help, please do your research, encourage your friends to help out, because this is our home, this is where we live, and it needs to be beautiful.
Is there a difference between weather and climate?
Weather is temporary and happens over a few hours, days, or weeks. So when you look out your window and it's raining or snowing, or the sun is shining on a hot day, that's weather. Climate is different. Climate is determined by observing the weather in one region over 30 years or more. Climate is how scientists determine if Earth is changing.
Let's face it, kids learn a lot from the grown-ups in their lives. Respect, honesty, kindness, reading, and riding a bike, just to name a few. But don't be fooled. Their eyes and ears pick up everything. Yet when it comes to the environment and climate change, it's the grown-ups who are learning that their kids are the most effective teachers. We've assembled a group of moms and dads and their kids to find out what they learn from them about climate change. Welcome. Can I have everybody raise their hand if they think they can make an impact on climate change? I love seeing all those hands. Abby, I want to talk to you a little bit. You're in Hawaii. What impact do you think you can have?
I can see the contrast between the healthy coral reefs and the ones that have bleached. When I go out, I can go to some areas where it's a beautiful ecosystem with lots of biodiversity. However, I can go to other coral reefs and I can see all of them bleach with algae on top of them and very few little fish.
You know, for us, it's providing that environment for Abby to be able to do this. And I find it penetrates into the way that I conduct myself at work and how I can influence, those around me there as well.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from Abby?
Just to get started. The simple things that you can do. And until you actually just do it, you're not making a difference.
Michelle, was there an aha moment when you realized that Alex was really into wanting to try to protect the environment?
Yeah, I remember one time we were driving in the car and Alex was mentioning something about carbon emissions and cars. And we drove by an electric car and he said, "Mom, why can't every car be an electric car?" My initial reaction was, "Alex, everyone can't have an electric car. They're too expensive. They're too this, they're too that." And then it hit home at that moment that why does it have to be that way? And I think sometimes it takes a kid's perspective to really question the status quo. Well, why can't we?
You know, it was kind of funny. We had a couple small bags of water bottles at the side of the house, and I kept promising my wife, I'll take them next weekend, you know. They'd been sitting there for a couple months, and I go, you know what, today's the day, let's go. And I said, Ryan, we're going to the recycling center. And I go, you'll see, you'll like it. So we went, and the one that we went to we had such a small amount, they were able to put the water bottles in a little machine, and he loved it. And then I let him keep the money. He got like $5, and he was like, what? I got to put stuff into a little machine, and I got like a couple bucks? This is amazing.
I think what I find so awesome is that everyone is trying to do a little bit of something, and you're all using what you can to protect the environment and play a role in a positive way.
I also just try to reduce the amount of intake of single-use plastic as much as possible.
Yes, plastics is definitely a big problem. That is why I try my best to recycle as much as I can. Plastic, cans, glass, anything. I try my best to recycle it so it does not end up in landfills and oceans where it could hurt animals and make them get sick and die.
Recycling is a lot harder than you would think.
Tons of people do think it's hard, but All you need to do is put the bottle or can in the recycling bin.
What are some other tips for people like me?
Styrofoam, no.
No.
Even if it says the recycling symbol, no. It falls into small pieces, is just not recyclable.
What's the biggest mistake you see people make?
Lots of people think tissues and styrofoam and stuff are recyclable. No.
I love your hard no. No.
No.
Wrong. Hey, you're making it easy for me. I gotta be honest, you're educating me with the no.
No.
Why is this so hard for people to get down?
I don't know. They just don't listen.
He teaches me something every day. I get yelled at least once a week for throwing something in the wrong container and whatnot, so it's good.
Do all the parents get yelled at here?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's a lot of nodding, yes.
I taught my dad that he should replace all the incandescent lights in the house with fluorescent lights, which save energy and money, and to keep the lights off when you're not in a room because that saves energy.
Ambika, your 10-year-old taught you about saving energy using the dishwasher. How did you react when he told you about that?
I would put on the regular normal cycle and it would run for 2.5 hours. So when he told me about the express energy saving feature, it was very impressive because the work's getting done sooner. I feel like my child is a globally conscious child and it makes me very proud.
Alex, you had to evacuate your home because of wildfires here in California. Can you tell us what that was like?
So it really scared me at first because all of a sudden we had to pack our bags and leave the house, and I was wondering, where are we gonna go? It was scary, and I thought that the house was gonna burn down.
Michelle, I do want to ask you, how did you explain what was happening when you had to evacuate your home?
It was hard to hide the intensity and severity of the situation because we were watching on TV as the wildfire ravaged the neighborhood that we live in. And so it was a really difficult thing to explain to kids.
Me having to evacuate my home due to hurricanes was really scary because I was very young the first time that we had to do that, and it was just super stressful and scary, not knowing what was going to happen, if I was going to have a home to come back to. Living in a state where you have to constantly be worrying about hurricanes, it can be very stressful because those storms can really impact your life and cause a lot of things to change.
As a family, what's your biggest concern about climate change right now?
It's really the kids' future. The barrier island that we lived on for most of Levi's life is at risk because it's almost at sea level. So we'd like that to be around for their future, for sure.
And Levi, your concern about climate change has actually propelled you to sue the state of Florida and the United States government. Why is it important to you to take such a big step like that?
It's really important for me because all these places that I love, Florida and the whole world, I love every bit of it. And I need to be able to protect that. I need to be able to tell my children, I need to be able to tell my baby sister that I did all I could to help to protect our future and the planet that we love so dearly.
Anybody else chime in? When you hear Levi is suing the government and he knows the law, what do you think?
Yeah, I can tell you are very passionate about to sue the government.
Thank you.
I think that is something that sort of, it amazes me, you know?
All the kids. Do you feel you still have a lot to learn? Because I'm sitting here listening to you. I feel like I'm learning a ton just from you guys.
There are more things I can learn, just like Ryan said about recycling and about bottles and sorting them. I could also learn more about what Abby is saying about the coral reefs and stuff because I don't know much about it.
I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to give people hope. I'm trying to bring awareness to what's going on and then inspire people to take action. I'm trying to show people that even a kid can do things to help to save the world.
I totally understand, but you still give me hope that the next generation is going to be better than my generation. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing is just everyone to find their cause. Not everyone has to be focused on the coral reefs. Not everyone has to be focused on recycling. There's so many things in the world that need help. If we all just find what we are passionate about, then we can help the world recover much quicker.
Great, thanks guys. Everybody was awesome. thank you all for being here and for being so honest. Teaching adults about climate change is just the first step in understanding the environment. Getting them involved can be the hurdle, but you've all proven you can do it. When we come back, what does it mean to live on net zero waste? I met a family who cares so much about the planet, they're doing whatever it takes to help save it. But first, an answer to another question kids have about the environment and climate change.
We've been wondering, what is the Paris Climate Agreement?
The Paris Climate Agreement was signed in Paris in 2016 by 175 countries, but it has nothing to do with Paris, France. It was the first time nearly the entire world came together and agreed that climate change needs to be taken seriously. So they set up a system to do it. The goal of the Paris Climate Agreement is to keep the global temperature rise to below 1.5 degrees Celsius or 34 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hey guys, Lily Collins here. Today is Earth Day, and I just wanted to share a couple ways in which I try to protect our planet. Whenever I'm going market shopping, I always try to bring my own handy tote bags, and whenever I go camping, I bring my own utensils, plates, cups, and water bottles. And also, I try to use as many plant-based products as possible. So please join me in protecting our planet.
What up, kids? It's Big Kid Liza Koshy here to talk to you and empower you and encourage you to take care of the one planet we have. Simple things you can do today. Recycle, take a walk instead, or go vegan tonight for dinner. Those simple choices you make every day can make a much better, cleaner tomorrow.
When it comes to climate change, there are so many buzzwords and phrases used to explain what it means to use less energy. One of those phrases is net zero emissions, and we wanted to know what it really means. So we asked Cooper Barnes, you know him as Captain Man on Henry Danger and Danger Force, to help us out. Hey, Captain Man, Cooper, can you explain to us what net zero emissions means?
Hey, Jamie, leave it to me. I got this. Okay, kids, you remember when we told you what greenhouse gases are? Well, net zero means the amount of greenhouse gases that's beamed into the Earth's atmosphere is no more than the amount that's taken out. Think of it like a scale. Too many greenhouse gases will tip the scale, so the goal is to either get rid of the greenhouse gases or to make sure no new greenhouse gases are let out into the atmosphere. And that's our job. Like, turn off the lights when you're not using them, not running the water when you're brushing your teeth, renew, reuse, recycle. That means the less new stuff we buy, the less greenhouse gases are released in order to make it. Bottom line, when we do our part, the Earth wins, and it's okay.
Thanks, Cooper. Now that we know the meaning of net zero emissions, here at Nick News, we wondered what life is like living on zero waste. So I spent a socially distanced day with the Siren family in San Diego, who actually live this life.
Hi, we're the Zero Waste Family.
Woo!
All right.
Each member of the family doesn't waste any time getting to work.
So what do you got there?
Scraps for the chickens.
Is this leftover food?
Yeah.
So you don't waste anything?
No.
Scraps from the family breakfast quickly make their way to the chicken coop.
Oh, look at that, they're already coming. What do you think they like in there?
They like the bread and strawberries. Every morning they get their scraps, and every afternoon we get our eggs. When they're fresh, they're really good.
So you guys eat your food, the scraps go to the chickens, and then the chickens give you more food.
Yeah.
Roly-polies and grubs are dug up from the dirt so they don't eat the plants.
Grub!
You found one? Oh, you did?
Can you get it into the chickens?
You want me to take it?
Yep, I'm gonna keep hunting. What?
I dropped the grub. Well, it started moving. Is it gonna hurt me?
It won't poop and pee on you, but put it on this. Come on.
Come on. I might not be cut out for this. Hey guys, look. Do you want a grub? Ooh! How much more hunting are we doing?
We still have the whole backyard.
The whole backyard?
You have no trash can.
Yeah.
And so somebody will bring something into the house, like they're chewing gum. Hey, where's your trash can? Oh, actually, we don't have one.
So what do people do with their gum?
We always just say, would you mind taking the trash with you when you leave?
You were the holdout in the family?
Yeah, I think I had this perception that this was just too much work. But now I realized that you can make toilet cleaner or bathroom cleaner much faster than you could run down to the store and buy some.
What's the biggest myth of living this way?
That we don't have good hygiene.
Yes.
That's a big myth. Everyone
Yeah.
says, oh, you don't take a shower. It's like,
Or you don't wash your hair, and it's like, no.
take a shower.
Liam, what's shower time like?
I normally shower after the bath and I have to get all the bubbles off of me.
What do you do with the leftover water?
The shower will take the extra water that we collected and we'll give it to the garden.
Their chores work in two ways: to keep the house clean and to always find a way to reuse whatever's produced.
What are we about to go do?
We're gonna go get the worms to plant something.
We are? And why do we need worms?
Because the worms poop out the soil, and then the soil gets better, and then the plants get bigger and then bigger and then bigger.
So we need worms for your food to be good?
Yes.
Who knew?
I did.
Well, you did. I didn't. You're teaching me something. Do you think about how much goes into your food?
I never exactly thought about it, but now that you mentioned it.
I think when people think of this concept, they think they're gonna have to change their entire life. They're gonna have to eat all of their food here, but you guys still go out to eat.
Yes, we
That's
actually
right.
go to restaurants. We travel, we do like the same thing that everyone else is doing. Obviously not during pandemic, but when we do go out and eat, we're just making different choices.
We always say, can you please skip the straws? And we don't need any of the crayons. We've brought our own. All these things they throw away right when you leave.
Well, I also think that you have to be able to cook if you're gonna be a zero waster. But you don't have to make fancy dishes. I realized it with my kids, rice and beans and load it up with vegetables, and they are super happy.
Even Simba, the rabbit, scores big from the leftovers at lunch.
How cute is that? You feel like you have a magical little area here?
It does, because it's like all the other yards are kind of just like dead grass or just plain grass, and then we have like a forest almost.
And for 13-year-old Bella, unlike most kids her age, the last place you'll find her is the mall.
This is my closet. I have all my shirts, tank tops, long sleeves, pants. This is all my pants. And I feel like I have a lot of clothes.
I was worried in 7th grade. A lot of her friends were starting to get really into fashion, and they were coming with new outfits to school all the time. And Bella had this minimalist capsule closet, and she bought all of her clothes used, and she was really proud. And I just wasn't sure whether maybe this would kind of break the bubble, and suddenly she'd be like, I want to go shopping, and I want new clothes. But by the end of 7th grade, her friends were like, man, I love your closet.
Oh, it's so cool. When I first saw a closet, I was like, oh my God, Bella, how do you do this? But then, like, you kind of realize that in your closet, you have, like, those things that you just wear them all the time. Then you have those extra clothes that are just kind of sitting there.
For Alda and her mother, Susan, living next door to the Zero Waste family has its perks.
Every time I go over here and I, like, eat their food, it's just so amazing. They're just so good.
Do you ever sneak over here and grab something?
Yeah.
Do they know about it?
I think so.
You know, I come over here and it's so nice. You're just reconnecting to the earth and nature, and I've learned a lot from them. I mean, it's great and it's definitely doable, but boy, it does take work.
Hard work indeed, and the fruits of their labor continue to pay off.
It just makes me feel really good because I know that all of it, every single thing that I'm doing helps the planet and helps the environment.
What do you like about doing this?
It's fun planting them and seeing your garden grow. You're doing something that's good for you. And I feel kind of proud that I make these plants grow and help the garden. It's kind of nice.
It's nice, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I planted this and then I eat it.
How many people can say that?
Anybody?
Anybody could.
Yeah, only if they plant them and then eat them.
I think I see another grub.
Oh, come on!
Coming up, don't forget our special message from the White House. And here's something to think about during the commercial. What do hogs have to do with pollution? I think the answer is going to surprise you when we come back. But first, watch this.
Did you know that the country of Rwanda in Africa has been plastic bag free since 2008? The country completely banned plastic bags when other countries, like the US, started placing taxes on them. And if you're caught sneaking plastic bags into the country, you can get in big trouble. Since the ban, Rwanda is considered by some to be the greenest country in Africa.
Hey guys,
guys, it's Kensington TALLMAN. One way I save the environment is taking old t-shirts and making reusable tote bags out of them. I first folded the shirt in half, then I'm going to cut along inside the seams of the shirt. Now you have a tank top. The next step is you're going to want to lay it back down, cut a wide U shape along the neck. It should look something like this. So I finished all the knots, and if you want, you can even tie additional knots. But now, moment of truth, you can flip it inside out, and you have your bag. Here's my reusable bag that you can take to the grocery store.
What's a carbon footprint?
The term carbon footprint is how much greenhouse gas, including carbon, that people produce. Just as walking on the sand leaves a footprint, burning fuel leaves carbon dioxide in the air, which is called a carbon footprint. The main causes of a large carbon footprint are electricity, gas heating, driving a car, or flying in an airplane.
It's called black snow, the thick soot that pollutes Pahokee, Florida. There's Cancer Alley, which is an area along the Mississippi River in Louisiana that's lined with oil refineries and air so toxic in New York's South Bronx that 20% of children have asthma. What do these cities have in common? They're all examples of environmental racism, a form of systemic racism, where minority and low-income communities are surrounded by health hazards because they live near sewage, mines, landfills, power stations, major roads. In Philadelphia, it's hazardous waste. In San Carlos, Arizona, it's a mining project that would dishonor an Apache sacred site. But it has never been more devastating and harmful than in Duplin, North Carolina, where, believe it or not, the number of hogs outnumber the number of residents.
My name is Fiona. I grew up in Duplin County, North Carolina.
Fiona moved away from Duplin County as soon as she could, which is why she's okay opening up about life there. When we tried reaching out to a number of people currently living in Duplin County, they were too scared to go on camera.
It's a small town and there's a farm on almost every corner.
Duplin County in eastern North Carolina produces more hogs than any other county in the United States. Chances are that piece of bacon or pork chop you eat might have come from here. And listen to this, there are 2 million hogs in that county with just under 60,000 residents. And many of the people work in the hog farms, which it turns out are dangerous to their health and to the environment.
Growing up in Duplin County, we would go outside and play with our friends and our cousins, whoever lived in our community. But sometimes the air quality would be so bad to the point where we would have to strictly play in the house. And that was due to the hog farms spraying feces in the fields.
Yes, you heard that right. For decades, residents have complained that just breathing in the feces-infested air alone can make you sick. In 2014, more than 500 North Carolinians, most of them Black, filed over 24 federal lawsuits against the meat-producing companies. But these hog farms have continued with business as usual.
What the hogs do is they use the bathroom, and it's mixed in with a certain water. It is sprayed in all of the fields in order to grow crops for food. It gets into our pipelines to where our water turns a different color. It can be anywhere from a rusty brown to pink. Going to school, you would be very self-conscious because of the smell. Whenever you walk down the road and the wind is up high, you can feel it. It's like a shower on your skin and it's full of feces. It is environmental racism. Your companies put their hog farms in areas that are mainly poor areas with Black people and Hispanic people, so I would say people of color. People are afraid to speak up because they don't want to bite the hand that feeds them.
Moving west from Duplin County, there is an ongoing fight between indigenous communities to protect the Apache sacred land in Oak Flat, Arizona, from copper mining companies. Nolan has been fighting to protect the land since she was 9 years old, inspired by her grandfather. When she was 13, she testified before Congress on the importance of the beliefs of indigenous people and the preservation of the earth.
When we're talking about, social injustice, environmental injustice, they both coincide together because there's many different layers to environmental racism. And if we allow, these companies and corporate entities to come in and extract and take these minerals and resources, it's going to really end the survival of humanity. We talk about Oak Flat and its project. When they want to mine the largest copper ore, they're also doing it in the cheapest way mining can ever do this process. This mining method is called the block cave mining. Block cave mining is the cheapest way of mine, but however, it's the most detrimental to the environment. So you get a bowl, and then you get the copper ore inside the bowl, and on top of the bowl is the land on top. However, when they extract that copper ore, everything in that land will become a crater. So the land of Oak Flat will be a 2-mile wide estimated crater as deep as the Eiffel Tower. All those places are contaminated with cancer. So you get our young men or youth family members or kids who wanted to go swimming in the river who end up growing up and getting cancer. If this can happen here, it can happen anywhere else from this point on. So we need to stop it now before it begins.
Back across the country in Philadelphia, in many low-income neighborhoods and communities of color, the air quality is unhealthy because of nuclear plants and other industrial waste from big companies and factories that pollute the air. The nuclear plants and their waste rob those underserved communities of clean air. Youth activist Sabira is working to highlight evidence of environmental racism by calling them out and asking for a change in conditions.
In the area I live in, it's mostly, I have parks, I have, recycling bins, which is kind of the bare minimum, just to live. Environmental racism consists of being deprived of something that can be beneficial towards your, a sustainable life. Going on walks and having trees and not walking into trash every other block. You can't go outside and just, breathe fresh air because the air is contaminated and has pollutants because of local power plants. I feel like that's kind of like how environmental racism shows up in Philadelphia. It should be the basic requirements of a happy life, to go outside and breathe fresh air and not be scared of childhood cancer rates and asthma rates. Environmental racism shows in just quality of life. Then when I heard about Greta Thunberg and what she was doing abroad.
Change is coming whether you like it or not.
I kind of felt motivated. I didn't see anyone who cared enough for the issue. So as someone who had a personal stake because of my family back home in Bangladesh and what I was realizing in my own neighborhood through environmental racism in Philadelphia, I felt more motivated to actually start the movement. And it wasn't just that aspect, but it was also the fact that there aren't a lot of brown Muslim women who are leading movements. So I felt like, if not me, then who? We looked at a map that showed our entire South Philadelphia flooded in less than 10 years. And this was 2 years ago. And I spoke to my classmates and I was like, look, some of you guys live near here, and in 10 years, your entire community could be flooded. So this issue is, it's going to harm you directly. So if you want to have a home in the next few years, then come out and join us in the streets. And that was kind of really how we got to spread our message.
People are dying. Gotta fight for life and everything we love.
So it really showed me, the power of your voice, and that if you find an issue, that you can actually stand up for it.
Sabira, Fiona, and Nolan, thank you. After years of fighting, activists battling environmental racism are finally being heard. When we come back, it's climate quiz time.
Hey kids, it's Rob Gronkowski here. In honor of Earth Day, let's talk about recycling. It has always been the only way to go. Plus, it's easy. I have a separate bin for all the recycling at my house. That's how I do my part.
Welcome back. You know what time it is? It's Kids Climate Quiz time. And to help answer our questions is Time for Kids reporter, Rory Who. Hey, Rory.
Hi, Jamie. I'm excited to help out because I love quizzes, even when I have a quiz in school. Not really. So, let's start. Question number 1. Which of the following is an example of climate? A, a powerful thunderstorm over St. Louis. B, the average temperature in Minneapolis over the past 30 years. C, a hot October day in Pittsburgh. Or D, a foggy day in San Francisco. The answer is B, the average temperature in Minneapolis over the past 30 years. Unlike day-to-day weather, climate occurs over a long period of time. It is how scientists determine if the Earth is changing. Question number 2. How much carbon dioxide does the average American add to the atmosphere each year? A, 1 metric ton. B, 5 metric tons. C, 10 metric tons. Or D, 16 metric tons. For this question, we asked former Secretary of State John Kerry, who is now the first ever special presidential envoy for climate. It's a cool job if you ask me.
Hi, Rory. Hi, kids. I'm really happy to be able to answer such an important question. Americans, on average, add 16 metric tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere each year. Now, that's enough to fill 192 shipping containers for every single person in the United States. So please, be sure to do your part. Turn off lights, unplug your electronics, think of all the personal differences you could make. And if you can walk somewhere instead of driving, do it. Together, we can make good choices to protect our planet.
Thanks, Secretary Kerry. Question number 3. Which of these products is the slowest to break down or biodegrade in a landfill? A, a rope. B, leather shoes. Or C, a baby's diaper. The answer is C, a baby's diaper. That's just gross. It takes a rope 3 to 14 months to break down. It takes leather shoes 25 to 40 years, and it takes a baby's diaper 500 to 800 years.
800 years?
That's a lot of time. Question number 4. True or false? As the temperature gets hotter, allergy season gets longer, and kids with asthma experience more frequent asthma attacks. The answer is true. Warmer temperatures make allergy season longer because plants' growth cycles are prolonged, causing more pollen and more allergies. Question number 5. What uses the most energy in United States homes each year? A, light. B, heating water. C, refrigeration. Or D, heating and air conditioning. The answer is D, heating and air conditioning. Cooling and heating is a stunning 47% of total residential energy consumption. So maybe have some ice cream on a hot day instead of blasting that AC.
I like that tip.
Question number 6. Which United States environmental law was not a result of the first Earth Day demonstrations? A, the Endangered Species Act. B, the Clean Water Act. C, the Clean Air Act. Or D, National Wash Your Pet Day. The answer is D, National Wash Your Pet Day. I love my red-eared turtle. His name is Big Belly because he likes to eat a lot. And whenever we bathe him, he tickles me with his tiny claws.
What do his tiny claws feel like?
They're very ticklish, and it's funny because he scratches at me for a while, then he gets relaxed. Then he starts scratching at me again.
Silly turtle.
Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Rory. Well, there you have it. For many, Earth Day is simply a day that may come and go. But I hope you learned that Earth Day is every day, and its significance represents your future and what you want your planet to look like. I hope you're inspired to keep the environment we all live on to be healthy, protected, and sustainable. I'm Jamie Yuccas, and for all of us at Nick News, thanks for watching. See you next time.